Okay, we're back with Wally and Josh, two of just the best business guys and best speakers in the home inspection industry. Josh is a young gun compared to Wally and I. By the time you watch this video, who knows. Um, but anyway, there's a constant influx, new inspectors, and there are things that we've been talking about for a long time. Between Wally and I collectively, we've probably been at, in every room of every mastermind that ever existed, did exist, doesn't exist anymore, and probably will just go hang out in some of the rooms in the future too. So we've had this discussion with lots of inspectors from all over the place. Josh, you talk with new inspectors all the time, and you're hiring and you're growing. Tell me what you want to talk about today.
Well, first of all, I think one of the things that gets misunderstood by new inspectors, and largely because there's kind of this misconception of how inspection warranties work and how that whole process works, is how that can help not only inspectors, but also their clients and the agents who love them with risk management. You've spoken in the past about how you have these risk gaps in the real estate transaction for the client. And then obviously the inspection warranty as a product helps not only them, but us and the agents too.
Well, I'll give you a new way that we're showing the industry what we now know factually after being in this space for 2 decades, offering 90-day warranties now, is that there's a huge reduction in liability when you're covering things that are property condition issues after move-in. The client moves in, has a problem, and says, "Hey, I have a problem," and you go, "Here's your check." Well, there's no reason for them to go and talk to a lawyer. There's no reason for them to come and harass you or complain or talk negatively about you or go and leave bad reviews. And we've been doing this for thousands of home inspection companies over millions of transactions over decades now. And we've seen, because of our E&O deductible reimbursement program, which was our sort of first venture into the E&O side of things, that the level of claims, both the frequency and dollar amount of claims of a client of ours that utilizes our warranty packages versus all of the guys that don't, is about 60% reduced. And one of the things that this has afforded us the opportunity to offer is our insurance programs at rwsinsurance.com. And they started only $1,200. And that's for $3 million worth of E&O and general liability coverage with no underwriting basis on prior claims. I mean, I want to make sure everybody hears that, because if you're a home inspector and you think, gosh, I do a really good job, that's not going to protect you. It's just about how big of a butthole you met today and how many lawyers he knows. So I think it's best to get this from a fellow inspector, though. And Wally Conway is a unique inspector in our world of inspectors that offer warranties, because he was in our warranty program like day one. If there's something new in the industry, Wally is right there sniffing it out, and trying it out, and he does that. And he was with it for many years and then stopped for a while and then came back and has been with it for many years now. And part of that was our improvements, but I'll let Wally speak to what it means for his business and Home Pro in Jacksonville.
Well, I really want to address this idea of liability and liability management from the agent perspective and also from the home inspector's perspective. And it turns out they're same. The honest truth is the probability of a real estate agent being sued for a property condition issue is very close to zero. And if you're a good home inspector, which I reason you are, there's a very low probability you will be sued for a property condition issue. The actual expense comes in loss of future business. So the probability the agent gets sued, very small. The probability that some goofy thing that's not the inspector's fault or anyone's fault, that is the future failure of a component, impacts the relationship between the customer and agent, that's very high. And that's where referrals come from. Same on the inspector side. The probability that there's something that someone could really sue you for is very small. The probability of a future failure of a component that reflects negatively on you, even though it's not justified, that's where the warranty program works so well for us. The idea that an agent's customer has a problem, not the fault of the agent, not the cause of the inspector, just something failed, and now the agent and the inspector combined are a part of solving the problem by having a check written from Residential Warranty Services. And the truth of it is, when a person has a problem, they want a check to solve it. They don't actually care where it comes from, which is good for us. I would much rather see a Residential Warranty Services check to go to one of my clients than a Wally Conway check. I keep those kind of close to the vest. But for us, that's really what it's about. Being able to deliver exemplary service for a very fixed cost. And that's the small amount of money it costs to have the warranty service. And then when there's problem, bump it over to RWS, let them write the bigger check.
Josh, does that answer your question thoroughly?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's worth revisiting too, that one of the biggest misconceptions that you see on Facebook groups for home inspectors and things like that is, well, if you offer warranties, you must be a horrible home inspector. You must, you must be missing things. That's why you want to, well, number one, that would be a horrible business decision for you to be, offering these warranties with these types of inspectors. But the truth of the matter is, most of the time in these cases, it really has nothing to do with being a bad home inspector or anything like that. And really, we need
to that really easily. That's an easy one.
Yeah, really, we need to reframe the way we think about that and look at it from a business perspective, not necessarily a technical perspective. We're out there doing great inspections. This is really a business thing, and this is taking care of our people in a good way.
I'll give you
I can riff on that one.
Yeah, go for it.
So it's interesting to listen to a lot of inspectors, especially in some of the forums. There are inspectors who have the idea that if you offer warranties, it's because you believe you're a poor inspector. Well, candidly, it's exactly the opposite. We cannot predict future failure, though through the warranty process, we can protect against future failure. I listen to inspectors ad nauseum say, I stand behind my work. Great. So if you inspected a dishwasher and it's working the day you were there and it fails in a month or two or three, do you write a check for that? And they're like, no, that's not my fault. Well, the customer can't sort that. The customer wants a check. The reason for the warranty is to assure that the customer is made as close to whole as possible with someone else's check. For me, that's a Residential Warranty Services check, because in every single case, the check written by Residential Warranty Services is considerably higher than the check I wrote to them for the coverage. And it just plays out in a positive way. So it's not about being a good or bad inspector. It's about having the business insight to understand the value of protecting the customer. And while I'm on that, let's talk about people who guarantee their work. I hear people tell me all the time, I guarantee my work. Do you really? Well, there's a funny thing in the world that we've come to learn, and that is this. You can guarantee the work you've already done. So I guarantee if we miss it, we'll make you whole. But what about those things you didn't miss? They're just future failures. You cannot guarantee a future failure. That's a warranty product. That's an insurance product. That's against the law. So I get my panties in a bunch when I hear people telling me about how good they are, yet they offer an illegal guarantee that they're not going to stand behind anyway.
Well, and in many cases, the illegal doesn't necessarily justify the quotes. But yes, so
literally illegal.
I have an interesting little story about customer expectation, and I'm not sure I've ever shared this before. So brand new content from Nathan Thornberry.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So I had a great aunt. Her name was Betty Good, Aunt Berta. And Aunt Berta was like the nanny of our house. She took care of my little brother. Like that was her, that was her grandchild basically, that she raised in a very old school way. I mean, there may as well have been one of those irons around where you used to have to heat them first because they didn't have power. It was like that was how she ran the household. And we had one of these toasters that had the 4 slots, and it was one of those really, really stylish ones that had the like wood paneling on the front that was like a sticker almost, right? Like an old new tone kind of product. Anyway, one day, my mother comes home and there's a new toaster on the kitchen counter. Uh, this toaster was a wedding gift from 30 years prior. Aunt Berta had taken it, put it in her car, driven to Walmart, walked to the customer service desk with this new tone, old school toaster, and she walked out of there with a new toaster. She, and that's not some new millennial. That's not somebody that has some unreasonable expectation, or I mean, it is, but she just said it doesn't work anymore, and they should make this right. So she took it into Walmart. It was no way that thing was bought at Walmart, by the way. But this is how big companies, real companies, companies that have real business models understand and deal with consumers. You have most of them are very reasonable people that aren't going to come to your customer service desk with a 30-year-old toaster. Then there's a few that are very nice, reasonable people that do. And how do you deal with them? That's how you're truly judged. Now, then we get into the real cost of liability, which isn't necessarily, to Wally's point, being sued and going to a courtroom and saying hello to a judge. It's most often, and I've changed my view on this over the years, and it's not just because I'm in the E&O insurance space. I do that at zero profit. I'm not gonna make any money on that. Don't buy from me. Buy from Will and Ben. Okay, but with our program, like we know what we're dealing with. It's the harassment side. Here's the 80% of people that don't even have a problem. Here's the 20% that are very reasonable. We deal with those ones. Then there's the 1% that are freaking crazy. And what they do is they harass you with a lawyer letter, and then they're going to harass you again with court filings that you don't have the qualifications to respond to. Even if you're a really smart dude, you cannot write your own filings in a superior court. In many states, as soon as you're getting sued for over a certain amount, the threshold usually being in the $1,500 range, in some states $5,000, you're not allowed to represent yourself anymore as a company. So anyway, there is a real liability that goes away when you just treat the client well. And even if their expectations aren't what you believe they should be, you still take care of them. And I always get paid dividends when I go above and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people that try to put numbers on it and say, well, I spent this much in warranties and I could just save that. And number one, you can't guarantee or warranty your own thing anyway. But not only that, thinking of it only in that way, well, I'll just put it away for paying for people's problems when it comes up. You really got to expand outside of that and think of it as marketing tools. And it's not just risk management for you to pay for problems when people throw a fit. It's so much more than that. And you really got to expand your horizons on the business minded side of things, and think of it in the bigger picture of what it can do for your company. Not only is it helping with risk management, it's also driving in inspections and things like that. The other thing too is what it does not only for the clients, but for the agents when these things come up.
Oh yeah. Well, and to that point, I have every once in a while an inspector that will, and I respect it. These are respectable guys, and I love home inspectors. I grew up with a couple of them, and every once in a while, I'll have somebody go, "Well, the minute I offer a warranty, people will call me with their problem, and then I have a problem. And it's like, whoa, the problem already exists for the client.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, okay, how do you deal with it? Are you oblivious to it? Do you offer a product that truly delivers no peace of mind? And I think we've beaten this one up, Josh, but you offer warranties in your business. You've seen it work for clients.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us something about your experience. I mean, Wally and I have been talking to each other for so many years. I think we know what each other sort of think.
Yeah.
How is it for you as a newer inspector? You've been in it what, 4 years
Yeah,
now?
3 years, 3,
3
4
years?
years. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've offered our full package, which we can go into packages here, and we can, just keep it rolling. So you offer our full package. I believe you offer full package plus next.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So, we're talking about a package that if somebody has a problem and it's a structural problem and it costs thousands of dollars, they
Yep.
get a check. How do people respond to it? What's your experience been?
Well, I'll tell you, not only from the obvious that, hey, we have residential warranty services that can help us with that process, but it's outstanding for marketing because, like a lot of people, they get, a few names from their agent to go calling around. They call people and they, "Oh, okay, what's your price? Oh, we're the best inspectors town, whatever, hang up." When they get on the phone with me, they get not only the price, but now they get, well, you're going to get over $100,000 warranty coverage. You're going to get a 5-year roof leak warranty, a 1-year structural warranty, 90 days for mold, 90 days for your buried sewer and water lines, regardless of whether you get a sewer scope. It's these kinds of things speak to people because it's real value. It's not just here's your report that you're never going to read or that you can't understand half of it. We're giving them great reports and we're giving them real value that can help them long into the future. When they've got a roof leak 4.5 years from now, we'll be there for them. And that's because we chose to offer those inspection warranties. And honestly, I mean, in the claims that we've had, I mean, people are very happy. We don't lose agents over things like that because a lot of inspectors have experienced that. Oh, you missed something, regardless of whether you missed it or not. Oh, you missed something. Client's not happy. You don't pay on it because you're like, it's not my SOP. Okay, whatever. Well, when that happens to me, my clients get taken care of, and that agent's happy, that client's happy, and oftentimes it ends in a 5-star review. So works great for me.
Well, let's talk about and switch gears. I think this is a good segue to some business efficiency stuff because it's not just about what did we do for the client today. I mean, if you cover something for the client, and that's great. I mean, that's what I'm in this for. Truth be told, but if that does really well for you on the marketing side, get you more business, get you better business, get you higher price point business, that
Yep.
means that you're going to profit better from it in a meaningful way and in a good way for delivering something better than what your competition does. That's wonderful. But let's talk about it purely from an efficiency standpoint. And I think Wally can tell you a little bit about your future, Josh, because today, if somebody calls and they have a problem, they get to talk to you, unless you flip it over to us, of course.
That's right.
But Wally's had it, every way, calls to him, calls to one other dude, calls to now multiple other dudes, including our systems and not including our systems. Let's talk about efficiency when it comes to, customer service and what happens after the inspection, particularly.
Well, even though we try hard never to have it be this way, when a customer calls a home inspector to complain, it's naturally adversarial. The customer wants relief, and the inspector wants to explain why it's not their fault. When you have residential warranty services as a backup, you no longer need to be explaining why it's not your fault. All you need to do is acknowledge the pain the customer feels and then assist them to initiate the warranty claims process. And once they're in the hands of RWS is reinforcing it wasn't missed. It was either not observable or it was a future failure. And when there's pushback from the customer on that, RWS explains to them, ma'am, this is a covered event so long as we are in agreement it was a future failure or not observable. And they're like, oh, you're going to make me whole without having to spank the inspector. Yes, ma'am, we have this wonderful relationship with the inspector. We feel strongly, we trust them. It was not a missed event. We can just set that up to the side. It was either not observable and a future failure, and we are here to make you whole together. That does several things for the inspector. One, you didn't have to spend the time doing it. You didn't feel personally attacked because you handed it off. And then we have an objective third party willing to write checks saying, that inspector's a wonderful guy. We have a long-standing relationship and you can trust them and refer them. Here's your money, man. Have a beautiful day.
And from an efficiency standpoint, because you don't know how to value your own time when it's just you. You get the call and you go, it's a client, I'll take care of them. I'll take a break from dinner real quick. How productive is that? But today, at Home Pro, you have a leadership in place, a leadership team that, now when they have to be on the call for 20 minutes fighting with a client, that bill goes to Wally. It goes to the USS Wally and you get it in your mailbox at the marina or whatever. And then you got to pay that. So do you have an idea of, what percentage of people, just for no fault of your own, certainly no fault of like not having a great inspection process? You guys have a ridiculously good inspection process. It's been well developed. So what percentage of people are going to reach out to you or going to harass you a little bit because of their displeasure over random occurrence, fault, no fault, etc.?
I would say those that reach out who have a legitimate problem is probably 1 or 2% of customers have something go wrong. It may even be higher than that. The fact that something went wrong in the home does not necessarily mean something went wrong in the inspection. It just means they have a problem. I want them to call when they have a problem. We want to be a part of the solution. Sometimes that solution is easy as us helping them choose a contractor. Other times it's as easy as saying, wow, I'm so sorry you have that problem. That's a covered event. Let me help you get paid. The number of times we actually have to deal with a crazy customer is way less than 1 per 1,000. And if that 1 per 1,000 is somewhere near accurate, and an individual inspector might be doing 300, 400, 500 inspections a year, and they sit and say, I've been doing this 5 years and I've never had a problem. It's because you haven't done enough volume yet. And when you start doing 1,000 a year, or 2,000 a year, or 5,000 a year, or 10,000 a year, and that's plenty of opportunities for the crazies to surface. But more importantly, it's plenty of opportunities to participate with RWS that make hundreds and hundreds of people whole during the year who can become raving fans of your company.
There's actually a presentation from a general manager of a very large home inspection firm out of California. And it's at inspectionsuccess.net/2020. And I don't know if it's session 3 or 4, but there's a guy named Mike Spears, and he goes over the cost in detail of actually handling 100% of that customer service in-house. And when it's at scale, you can start taking that time and counting it up. And it's a ridiculous amount of money that inspectors waste over saying, oh, we're going to go the hard way. We're going to tell people, no, that wasn't that way when we were there. There's no reason you should expect any sort of warranty coverage that would end this call immediately with a happy client. But anyway, all right, let's move on here, Josh, because you had some other stuff on the list today. One of the things you wanted to talk about was hiring and what it takes to take your solo one-man home inspection business from a job to a business where you now have an inspector working for you. So, tell us about your journey a little bit, because we can tell you a little bit about the future and where you're heading. But for right now, you've been the one man, and now you've been, the inspection firm with employees. And again, only 4 years in the business, you're early on. You're going to have, in my view, more relevant experience and information for the new guy. Stuff that Wally and I have probably forgotten, honestly, or wish we would.
Well, it certainly has been a challenging path going from the single guy inspector to the multi-inspector. And, I was blessed in that the first guy that I brought on was really solid, and he was solid the whole way. And I didn't have to go through that with somebody I didn't know. But moving forward, I've had to fire a guy, things have not worked out, and we're in the middle of trying to hire 2 to 3 in the near future, right now. So the challenge of identifying those people, the right people, weeding through the list, interviewing correctly, that's been, it's been hard, but at the same time, the reward is so great. When I got my first other inspector, it was incredible. It was such a weight off my shoulders once he was able to function on his own. And the same thing with office people. When we got an office person, it just huge weight lifted off your shoulders. And so from a hiring standpoint, one of the things, and it may have been Wally at one point, somebody told me before I'd hired my first guy, hey, if you're consistently filling 80% of your schedule, you should probably think about hiring. Matter of fact, you're probably behind the curve. And what I found was I hit that mark pretty quick after we started the company. And then I worked myself to death for quite some time before I finally got that done. And so the big lessons I learned kind of from that, starting from those humble beginnings was be thinking about hiring faster than you would necessarily think about it. Start getting those processes down so that you can actually teach it to someone. And then, start thinking about what kind of people do you want to hire? What's going to work for you and your company? How are you going to identify those people? But also, what do you want to do in your company? Do you want to keep inspecting? And do you want to have all this admin stuff taken care of taken care of by different people? Or do you want to get completely out of inspecting? Do you want to take care of the admin stuff, get inspectors in faster so you're not the guy in the crawl space? These are all things that I'm sure Wally went through with Home Pro, back and forth. I know I've gone back and forth between, I don't do as much inspecting now, but at times I'm doing 10 a week. It's just.
I think you took that first step very wisely, and it's a natural thing for entrepreneurials to want to do with that first hire. And it's you find that person that you really get along well with. They might even be friends or family. And to this day, Patty and Phil, my parents, they're in the home inspection business. They'll still see one of their first inspectors that was with them for 30 years, like on family vacations. Okay.
Yeah.
So those first few are family. And then, after that, you start getting to a point where if your systems are good, if your product's good, if the market loves you, if your pricing is right, and if your offerings are correct, that the amount of business coming in creates more opportunities than you can do in a very small family sphere. And then you have to start doing what you're doing now, which is hire 3 at a time, let's just keep them coming. And it's amazing how fast you've jumped to that. If Wally and I both, if we had in 4 years gone to that level, I can't imagine where either of us would be now. but so you scare us. But Wally, your first guy, did you hire one guy first, or did you start off as a multi-inspector firm, or did you start off as a man in a truck?
I individually started as a Chuck in a truck. We brought on guy number 2 within 6 months, certainly less than a year. I always was moving toward, bringing additional people in and getting staff in place. And I think it's important to always be hiring, so that you're not hiring from a place of need, and you're not stuck hiring the person that isn't quite right because you need it desperately. So if you're always having the conversation with people about hiring, if a great one comes along, hire them a little sooner than you thought. At the same time, if you're kissing a lot of frogs, pitch them back in the pond and keep that door open to bringing others in. It's okay to hire great people too soon.
I think there's no reason to take this, to that next level, Josh, for a number of reasons. All right. I think most that watch this video on YouTube or off a link in an email, they're going to either be thinking about hiring their first inspector. They may watch this and say, I never want to do that. I want to inspect for myself and manage myself. I know I'm a great employee, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's respectable. There's a lot of really happy people that do that and do it successfully, but there are other people that want to take it to 2, 3, 5 inspectors. That's pretty simple to do at the end of the day. As long as you focus on product, process, people, you're there. If you want to go to 10 or 15 or 50 inspectors, well, now we're talking about a totally different thing, and I think it's okay to bring up the top group, which was on your list of questions for today that you wanted to talk to Wally and I about, and for those just joining us, the top group is a group that we created at the Inspector Services Group, and it's not your typical mastermind and coaching or consulting program. There are many of those in the industry and many that do very well. I promote them. I'm friends with all those guys because when one of our clients goes and finds what they need at those groups, and not all of them do, but many do, their business starts to take off, and our interests are very aligned with that. So if you need that, great. The top group is more of a just down to business. There's no emotion with it. We don't get in a room and stand up and talk about our personal lives or our personal experiences from the month and that sort of thing. So Josh, you've been in the top group for a while, but not as long as Wally. I'll give Wally the floor on what is top, and for those that want to go to 10, 15 or more inspectors, why is it a good idea to join?
So why top is of value to me compared to some other groups is rather than spend a lot of energy debating, shall I offer warranties, shall I do ancillary services, and all these other debates, our dialogue, our interaction is focused on how do I best leverage these tools to maximize the profit of the company and to minimize the personal number of hours I need to spend optimizing that profit position. That is very, very special. There are other groups, and they're very good groups, but they serve a different purpose. So if you, rather than debate, how do I use Priority Lab or should I's, we debate and share best practices on, this is what I've experimented with, this was the outcome. So we're replicating each other's successes rather than pissing all over each other's opinions.
That's an interesting perspective. So from the other side, that's a very interesting perspective. So one of the things that we did, the rate for some of these, coaching and consulting programs can be a lot. It's not just $500. It can be 1,000, 1,500. If you're in a private coaching program, those can run even more than that. And, with a lot of these groups too, there's kind of a hidden cost, right? You got to be at the meetings. You got to be at the meetings X amount of time per year, and that's going to be really promoted and encouraged in a way that we don't. Like, we're not about the meetings. We're not a Facebook group. The top group, it's at its core, is a small fee that includes things like your call center. It includes our conference tickets, and it includes discounts on tools and marketing supplies and direct access to our marketing people and some of those resources that, just make it an undeniably kind of no-brainer of a deal. But then we get to the point of the people that do show up and participate in the meetings, which we do for a year, and then we have our online Facebook group. And Wally's perspective is so true. I was just thinking, wow, that's it's true. They get in the room and it's not which vendors do we use for what today? It's, hey, we all know where we're at. How do we do this best, and how do we accomplish the most in the next month? And we can skip all the BS on the way there. Wonderful. And everybody there's already a client, so there's no selling, from our people. So that's good. But my perspective is a little bit different. It's getting 100 of my clients in a room who then say, you know what, we want you to do this. And at the front of the room, I'm smiling, going, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Wonderful. Nice. And in my mind, I'm going, oh shit, I better do that. And so, Josh, from your perspective, I mean, you've been in it for a bit.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest takeaway from Top for you?
Top, it's funny, if you saw my metrics, you can see where I connected with you guys and joined Top, and my revenue does this. Number of inspections skyrocket. Top for me was, I looked at coaching groups, things like that. Top honestly kind of accomplishes what I need in that way, in that you're networking with many $1 million companies when you're a guy that's just starting out. And that is, and they are very, of course, I'm not in anybody's market who's in Top, but they're very gracious with that knowledge. Wally being one of them, you being one of them, that I can go to you guys and throw things off you, challenges that I'm facing. And there's guys that have been there and done that and can provide very valuable information. And from the standpoint of experience, to help me shortcut learning those lessons the hard way. That's kind of one of the things when we started the company, that it was about, okay, how do we, and not in a gimmicky way, how do we shortcut that path to success? I don't want to grind around being, single man chucking a truck for 10 years before figuring these things out. So it's been a invaluable resource. The other thing is, to your point earlier, the resources that you get with Top versus without, in the way of claims assistance and things like that. You've got a team of very experienced individuals that can help you with the claims, whether it's involving the warranties or not. Extended warranty packages that may not necessarily be available. There's a lot of things there that just makes the Top fee a no-brainer. It's just not even that big of a deal.
So you hit on something that I don't want to spend a lot of time on, because you kind of have to experience it. But we have this claims and complaints management system that involves you and your manager and your team members, as well as some of our team members, and Mike Casey, myself, Phil Thornberry, Lane Clegg, Sam Vance, Mike Gaines. We have this huge team now that handles around 10,000 complaints, inbound complaints, that are either warranty or not warranty, or just some lunatic that wants to bother you today, whatever it is. And we handle that for the inspectors. And they get to see, the play-by-play in chronological order. Now what's fascinating is some of this was driven by demand. It's like, whoa, this world's getting complex. Expectations of homeowners is getting complex. And we need to show our work. The second thing was just a kind of a demand of, I want a place where I can send my claims, particularly the ones that are, you know, complex in nature, and where I can see them and I can be aware of where it's at, or where I can give input and say, hey, that's a special agent to me. Like I'll write the check. If something's not covered, just let me know. I'll write the check. And what's fascinating is about 75% of inspectors that use it every day, never log in. They logged in once, they read what we did and said, wow, that's a lot of back and forth, and they did great, and I trust them, and I never want to log in again. But then there's 25% that they're in it every single day, and uh, they care a lot about that client experience. Not to say that the others don't, but they take the time to do that. And Josh McKay is one of those dudes. So you do log in, and we see that, and we appreciate that. I'm going to go on to another thing here, a general marketing question, and I think um, sometimes it's good to go back to basics, and you'll find when you're the guy with the $2 million company in the room, and there's some young punk coming along to try to learn from you, that you get as much out of that as he does. And that new that new role of participants, they take us back to basics, and I think it's time that we rewrote the book on the basics. So, Josh, first day you were in home inspections, before you got to that plateau that then you went, joined top, did this, you had some business coming in. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you were doing, gosh, it's been a while, but I remember you doing about 25 inspections a month without breaking a sweat.
Yeah, no, that wasn't at the beginning. It was, it was like, okay, I see, when I started the company, I was like, if I get a good slice of the pie here, pretty quick, pay the bills. No, that happened pretty fast. When I, as it kind of built up speed, and we go back to that 80% of my schedule was definitely full, to the point, yeah, well, okay, I'm doing 8 to 10. Oh, now I'm doing like 14. I'm working every day of my life, and it's killing me, and we get to talking about the hiring stuff. But yeah, it was one of those things where my mindset was, how do I shortcut all this? Because you talk to guys on, even top or anywhere else in the inspection industry. Some guys spent 5-10 years just working themselves to death, because it's fine when you're doing like 25 and not breaking a sweat, and but then you hurt your back or something like that, and all of a sudden the revenue stops. These are things you got to think about, and I think thinking about that on the front end and trying to solve those problems on the front end, put systems in place, think more business minded about it on the front end is the way to go.
Well, it does help to clear your mind to be able to do those things when you have some revenue coming in. And
Yeah.
so let's talk about that launch, how you get to that first 25 inspections a month. And it sucks that we're doing this in 2021, because we're off of a COVID year. There's some vaccines, but that might turn people into zombies. So there's so much that we don't know. And I still think that, short of a market where, it's artificially been closed, like in parts of Pennsylvania and in New York, in Portland and Los Angeles, you exclude those. In the rest of America, I think it still works. And I'm going to put this theory out there, and I'm going to ask Wally to tear it apart, play the opposite side, whether you agree with me or not. But my theory is that we can go back right now. If you're a brand new inspector, you have to have a modern twist of some social media exposure that we weren't talking about 10 or 15 years ago, really. But you still can go out there and you can get to real estate events. You can walk into real estate offices. You can have professional materials. You can have a wrap truck. You can go and maybe stop by open houses with a mask on and whatnot. And maybe in a few months that goes away. but you can still be the baby kissing, handshaking metrics guy that says, I'm going to hit 20 offices a day. I'm going to send out 20 personal emails a day. I'm going to make 20 personal phone calls a day until my schedule's full. Am I wrong?
I think it's essential that those things happen. I could play devil's advocate if you choose, but especially for the startup guy, if that individual is not doing those things all day, every day, there's no prayer of the phone ringing in the future. There's nothing that will ever be better than a one-on-one conversation. And now it's a little bit more challenging. You need to work harder to get the one-on-one conversation, or you need to transition the one-on-one conversation to Zoom, or you may be doing a one-to-many conversation through other digital modalities. But it is honest to say, at the end of the day, having that one-on-one conversation is critical. What's not critical is the one-on-one conversation be specifically with the business owner. It's learning to leverage that where another individual or a collection of individuals are doing those things. The sooner that as a startup, you remove yourself from every single aspect where it's me, the faster it can grow. I listen to inspectors say all the time, my agents, whatever the hell that means, they just love me and they never would love anybody except me. And I want to have multiple inspectors. Those two things collide. Then when you sit and say, no one answers the phone better than me. Well, you can't be doing all those things, even if you were right that there's no better inspector, no better phone answer, no better one-on-one marketer. If you sit and say that is who you are and you don't want to vary from that, you've got two choices. One is work 100 hours a week and have absolutely no life, or two, just let it go and sit and say, you know what, even though I perform at 100%, I'll bet a 95% performer or an 85% performer, 10 of those, and I'm way better off answering the phone, doing the marketing, doing the inspecting.
Well, I think there might be a slightly different path for the right kind of marketer. And we might have the right kind of marketer here on the call with us today, because Josh, it feels like you got to that first 25 with, like, I don't know, pictures of yourself on Instagram or something.
Yeah. So what I did, and part of this is part of the story of the conditions in which I started my company, is, I didn't have a big budget. I didn't take out a big loan or anything like that. And what I did know was social media, because I had ran accounts for some companies in the past that I worked with. And what I knew was when you're thinking about your target audience being agents, we all know, I mean, if you're thinking that you can go build a multi-inspector firm, never marketing to agents, you're lying to yourself. I knew my target audience was going to be the agents. That's where most of your work's going to come from. And that's how you're going to grow. Well, where are they? Well, increasingly, at least in my area, even before COVID, they weren't at the offices. This area was exploding. They were out working. They were out showing properties. They were doing other things. And so going to the offices, yeah, I mean, we did some of that, not a whole lot of it. I agree with Wally in that it is essential to be making those connections one way or the other. But in the beginning, I was cold calling 100 agents a day. Setting up coffee meetings, a little bit different than necessarily going to the offices. We were setting up coffee meetings. The other thing was Instagram and Facebook. Facebook initially, and then we integrated Instagram a little bit later. But what I found was all the agents are already there. You see them everywhere, friended. I got over 1,000 agent friends on Facebook, all this stuff. Well, now you have a platform to speak in front of them. And deliver those same messages you might deliver while you were sitting there belly to belly talking to them. And when you have the inspection warranties and things like that, you actually have something worth saying, because if you're in that sales meeting and what do? You just do inspections. We do inspections, but better, like we're cheaper, whatever you're going to say, none of that really matters to them. But what does matter to them is what you're going to do for their client. And in turn, what that does for them. And just like if you were sitting in front of a room of agents, or if you were meeting with an agent at the office or anywhere else, you can say those same things with Facebook and Instagram to a very wide audience of agents without feeling salesy, and largely accomplish the same thing. And so that was, I mean, that was the catalyst for our growth initially, was social media. And it's not to say that there's not other things you need to do and other ways to do that, but I would certainly say if you're not leveraging that, by all means, start doing it.
Well, and I want to thank you for saying belly to belly.
Belly to belly sales. Yeah.
I was like, oh no, what's going to come out of his mouth?
What's coming
No,
up next?
yeah. So, you know, that's a very interesting thing. I think it's more or less the same thing that we've been saying for a long time. You know, you got to stop by 20 offices a day. Well, how different is that than 100 cold calls inviting agents for coffee?
Yeah,
That
it's
individual
statistics.
meeting, yeah,
Yeah.
that individual meeting is going to go a long way. And my suggestion to anyone who actually does that and follows through with it is to learn to love decaf. You know,
It gets rough after a while.
can't walk around that wired all day long. But you know, we've talked about launching. Then, like, you know, you got to get out there and do it. We have in our resources page, as you're familiar with, and you show inspectors that reach out to you and want to know how you're doing it all the time. That resources page, especially that first section, you know, we loaded this first section with a bunch of, you know, easy stuff. You press it, it loads your logo in it, and it's ready to go marketing stuff. And then it's just a matter of the metrics. How many people see your message, and a good message, every single day? So we talked about that, launching, getting some money flowing. We talked about hiring a couple of inspectors, taking it to that, you know, 1 to 5 inspectors in addition to yourself. We talked about the top group if you want to take it to a level beyond that. And not to say it's exclusive to big multi-inspector firms. We certainly have some smaller firms that are interesting in interesting markets, want to, you know, figure out how to do things just more efficiently, have more time for themselves, or maybe increase their rates and profitability. We've talked about business efficiency. I'm not sure we've talked about uh, business efficiency as far as answering phones, other than just a few things that Wally mentioned. But I have a great video. I'm going to mention uh, in the notes below this YouTube video. That's just Wally and I talking about call center. It's the best call center video out there. I can't imagine us saying anything better about call center services today than we did then. Um, but let's talk about inspection efficiency. And I want to make sure that, you know, sort of my take on this isn't outdated. When you've been in a business for 20 years, you tend to hold on to the past a little bit. And I'm as guilty as anybody. Um, and I grew up in a multi-inspector firm, Security Home Inspections in Carmel, Indiana. And our standard was 3 inspections a day, plus in that 3 inspections a day, 1 additional service often. Now it would depend on square footage. I'm assuming 2,000 or less, 2,500 square feet or less on those 3 properties. And this was at a time when the inspectors largely allowed someone else to prepare the inspection report. We had a whole team of people in the office that were preparing the inspection report, including myself, as slave labor. But we could book them for an 8 a.m. to 11. You know, they grab a lunch, 12 to 2:30, pick up a radon, do a quick siding check on some LP siding, or do a small WDO inspection. Then hit end of day, last appointment was another. And it became easier to schedule those when we had ones where the purchaser wasn't going. Those tend to go quicker. And of course, if it was a 6,000 square footer, it was 2 blocks, you know? So that's the way we did it. Today in your business, Josh, I'm fascinated by this. How many inspections can you and your guys do in a day on a typical single family, nothing crazy house, uh, basement crawl space or slab, but under 2,000 square feet? How many in a day?
We try to keep, and now this is going to be based on everybody's individual needs and their areas and whatnot. Um, my guy's 10, so he's going to do 10 a week. He's going to do 2 a day. We could do 3. But right now, and that's really driven by how much money he wants to make, right?
Gotcha.
So we could do 3 a day. We try to do 2. A lot of that has to do with where we are too, though, because oftentimes we've got a 30-minute to an hour drive between inspections. Most houses are going to have crawl spaces. And so there's some factors in there that do influence that. If it was all slabs and under 2,000 square feet, yeah, easily 3 a day.
Wally, are you in the same category? 2 a day, unless it's a busy day, and then we'll go to 3.
We virtually never go to 3. We just schedule 2 a day full home inspections. If we're out doing standalone ancillary services, it could be 4, it could be 5, but it's 2 a day. I just no longer have an interest in driving somebody to work from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. I don't know that that's good for them physically or mentally, and I'm not convinced that it really serves the client all that well. So we've taken a different approach. Go do your 2 a day, and it just works out fine for us.
So I backed you both into some math, and I started this off with this intent. So you're at 2 plus some ancillaries, right? They could stop and do a miscellaneous appointment, a 4-pointer wind mitt, that sort of thing, on the way home from the 2. But they're not going to do a third, and they're going to work from 8 or 9 in the morning to like 5 in the evening, kind of thing, right? Okay.
Yep.
So and Josh, you kind of have the same schedule potentially, unless they're doing 3, and then they might have some 9 or 10-hour days in a very busy week where you really need them for that third inspection on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Acceptable. And I like that. I like that better than the old school, Phil and Patty Thornberry model, which many still do, which is 3 a day. You got 3 time slots a day, because the guys are still, they're still looking through their pictures and double checking their thoughts for the day at night. So it's a long work day. And they've calmed down with some of that because, frankly, some of their guys have been with them for a long time, been with them for 20 plus years. So they're going to put them on 2 a day, and it's going to be request only, that sort of thing. But I think that we backed into a number of 3 hours, maybe 4, including drive time, including report writing, including report preparation, per inspection of a typical single family home. Am I wrong?
For us anyway, that's about right. With the I know a lot of guys have went through the papers and the going through the different software options over the last 20 years. We had the blessing of getting to start with great software from the beginning, and we've got to stand on the shoulders of everybody else that figured it out ahead of us. And so yeah, like 95% of the report's done when we get off the inspection. It doesn't take them a lot of time to review it, send it off. So average within 4 hours per inspection easily.
Excellent. Well, this goes to that efficiency thing. If you're watching this right now, you have super successful 4-year inspector. You have uber successful, I don't even know, 1990 something, Wally, where was your first year?
1994.
Yeah, 94. Okay. So I was going to say 93. I wasn't too far off. But 1994, both have great businesses. Both are leaders in their local market. And both are under 4 hours, including drive time, report preparation for an inspection. If you're watching this and you're over that number, you're doing it wrong. This is for a standard single family home. I'm not talking about an 8,000 square footer, but it means you're doing it wrong. And it is not hard to get it right. you either find the right template of report, which tends to guide you through that process, or you talk to somebody about it. You know, go in an inspection forum and say, I'd like to talk to like 3 dudes in markets that are similar to mine, maybe not your exact market, that are getting this done, getting it done effectively within that time frame, and grab that knowledge. Ask that kind of question. You'll get your life back at the very least, and you'll create a good process and marketable business at the most. But let's go to this last thing. I think we got one thing on our list that you wanted to discuss for today, Josh. And let me see, what was it? Ancillary services. Man.
Yes.
So this is where we're getting into some things that inspectors are totally different than 20 years ago, than even 10 years ago, as far as their comfort level goes on ancillary services. Let's come up with the list in 2021 you better be doing. I'll let you start first, Josh, and we'll see what you miss.
Well, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, so going real quick, I just want to make the point that when it comes down to number of inspections you're doing per day or anything like that, the number of ancillary services you're offering and the ratio, the conversion metric there for how many of those you're selling really impacts your bottom line. And you don't have to kill yourself with 3 inspections, 4 inspections a day. If your average, I like to call it average cart value, I separate those things, but average inspection fee for most people, when that's $500, well, then doing 2 inspections a day makes a whole lot more sense. And those things will add some time to the inspection process sometimes. For us, necessary. Everybody should be doing them. Ancillaries, radon testing, if it's applicable. I know it's not for some people. Pest inspections would probably be just as applicable in some parts of the country. Sewer scopes, mold testing or mold sampling, if you don't want to say the word testing. And then water quality testing, especially if you're in a rural area or anywhere that's got private water supplies, water quality testing. Beyond that, we do some other things, sewer smoke testing and manufactured home foundation certifications. Something we haven't got into yet that we want to do is full-on well inspections with the flow tests and snaking the well and everything else, doing drawdowns. But that's where, to me, radon, mold, water, sewer, those are no-brainers and should be offered by every inspector if they want to grow.
All right.
And pest. Yeah.
Wally, I got a long list of things he missed.
Yeah, I've got a long list also, but I really want to talk about the why of ancillary services. There's 2 really important reasons to offer ancillary services. One is when you offer a person an ancillary service, that is affirming that it wasn't part of the home inspection. That's very important. And secondarily is an ancillary service in virtually every instance is significantly more profitable than the home inspection. You're already there, you've already made a sale, and the amount of that ancillary service dollar that drops to the bottom line profit dollar is always significantly higher as a percentage of revenue than the home inspection was. The home inspection, I would never say is a loss leader, but it certainly is the least profitable thing that you can do in the house. So some of the other things to consider adding on, I wrote 10 of them real quick while we were sitting here, is absolutely the pest, where appropriate, wind, 4-point insurance letters, water sampling, lead, mold, asbestos, sewer, infrared, commercial, and other specialty items. And that specialty is a very broad brush. Specialty says, if you have a problem in your home or building, we can be a part of figuring out what's wrong. So a person has, let's just say there's a stain on a ceiling, and they call the roofer and the roofer says, it's not me. The plumber says, not me. Heating and air guy says, it's not me. Everyone around them says, it's not me. It's them saying they did not cause the problem. Well, if nobody caused the problem or nothing caused the problem, it would lead you to think there really wasn't a problem, yet we know they are. So that specialty inspection, where you're doing a bit of a forensic investigation, does several things. One, it takes you places most home inspectors don't want to go in a business sense. It also really sets you up in a position of credibility and authority, in that I can help you solve the toughest of problems with good and aggressive diagnostics. And then they take that document to the appropriate contractor for solution.
Well, well said, of course. I'm going to add just a few, since you had some of mine. Septic systems, that's a big one. Pool inspections, irrigation systems. You got radon testing, but you missed radon mitigation. Oh man, it's a whole nother business. But
Let's say I don't know that I consider that ancillary.
No, it's
Yeah.
really like a totally other business.
But it's a no-brainer other business. Yeah.
Once you get to the point where you have enough staff to start thinking about, okay, we need to start expanding into other services. By the time you're thinking, what kind of trash can they haul? What kind of what kind of parking lots can they shovel the snow off of in the winter? By the time you're thinking that, go to radon mitigation, go to WDO treatment. So not just inspecting for wood destroying organisms, pests, but also treatment and removal thereof. And the ultimate, the easy one, the one that every home inspector should be pushing the button on, that takes nearly zero effort, is almost 100% email driven. Every once in a while you have to pass a message on, a customer service thing, and that would be turning on warranty sales. My gosh, what an easy machine to press the button on. So
Absolutely.
do that. Probably get roughly 10% of your inspections to pay you $50 if you do it right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and there's a lot of things you can do to increase those conversion rates too. I think a lot of people just kind of think that selling home warranty with any of this stuff, they even do it with the ancillary stuff. Oh, well, that's not in our SOPs. That's not our job description. So what?
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
and I would love to meet the guy who goes to a business, whether it's a service business, auto repair, hospitality, anywhere you go and interact with staff, restaurants included, of course, in hospitality, and you say to somebody, hey, I'm a client, I have a need here, can you help me out with this? And they go, yeah, that's just that's outside my standards of practice and my scope, sir. So shut up.
So go away.
I would love to meet the guy who's really happy about that response. And every once in a while, you get that response, but it usually comes with I'll let you talk to my manager. There is no manager for you as a home inspector if you're doing it wrong. It's just the internet for the clients to search the correct answer on. But anyway, let's get back to one thing that you had asked early on, which was the packages and what they generally look like, and just to get it from the horse's mouth here, and then we can go through what Wally does and the evolution, because Wally has offered everything I'm about to say in an evolution of how he addressed the warranty issue in Home Pro's home inspection business. So we have our sort of base 90-day warranty package, and we have, just by virtue of it being so cheap, it's virtually free, thousands of inspectors on that. So that's a 90-day warranty, mechanical and structural, $2,500 aggregate coverage. And truth be told, the thing that we get the most claims frequency on, not the most expensive claims, but the most claims frequency. There's like 1,500 different claim types that we cover that people call in with in our system. So nothing wrong with doing that. It is the base package we do. We call it the base package or 90-day package. Then we move from there up to what we call the Premier. And that's any of our packages that include both the 90-day warranty and the sewer guard, which you had mentioned earlier, that that coverage that goes very well, it goes over very well in real estate offices and sales presentations for underground sewer and water lines. So if you have 90-day plus sewer guard, we call that our Premier internally. You won't see it marketed that way. And not because we don't want to make sexy marketing, but because we don't really want to show your clients all the ingredients at your restaurant, right? We don't want to put it out there publicly in such a way, because then we have this Premier package and it makes the guy that offers the 90-day warranty not look so great. If that makes sense to you. He's still an inspector. I still love him. I wish he offered a better package. The next one up is the full package. That's anything that includes all of the coverages are 90-day sewer guard and mold safe, which gives you free 5-year roof leak protection plan. And that one goes over really well in real estate presentations. Man, 5 years of roof leak protection, because every real estate agent has a horror story about a roof. And you can tell them that those horror stories go away when they use you for inspections. Then beyond that, there's just one higher level, and that's it. And it's that full package plus our next structural coverage, which adds a few $1,000s to a per claim limit. And now we're talking about on the 90-day, you have that $2,000 worth of structural coverage. We're adding $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to that number with the next structural coverage, and then adding a kicker of a 1-year coverage for structural items. It's not the sexiest thing to market in the world. We're working on that. It's getting better. I'll tell you what it is. It is just the thing that has taken hundreds of home inspection companies to flat zero in the whole group, flat zero E&O claims in a year. That's it. Like it goes away. I had an attorney go after one of our clients, and the demand letter that he sent in was $150,000. This was in the last month. And my response to the inspector when he said, "Hey, do I turn this in as a claim to my E&O?" I looked at his record for this house, and it had all those coverages, had the next structural coverage. I read the letter and I said, "No, let us. We literally cover everything that this person could ever possibly complain about legitimately. So let our attorney go to that attorney and say, hey, hello, we're that warranty company that your client failed to respond to when they turned in a claim and we asked for an estimate and diagnosis. Then they came to you and you wrote that useless letter. So anyway, we're here." and it just knocks this attorney out. Like, he's like, wait a second, you're saying that whatever the problem is, it could be a big structural problem worth thousands of dollars. You're just going to send my client a check. Okay, I'll call him. I'll tell him to make a claim. Great, done.
Like that was an expensive reminder to call the warranty company.
Oh man, I kind of felt bad on that phone call because I had to, tell the client, well, because they're like, well, we spent some money with this attorney. Why? Sorry. But part of that's our fault. I actually I take accountability for that, because we should be better at promoting to clients that have warranty coverage to make the claims. Yeah. And we do a pretty good job, but clearly not 100%.
Well, and some of that comes to, some of that comes down to the business owners and how they communicate those things. We do it with automation, automated texts and emails leading up to and after the inspection. And then within our reports as well, it cites the warranties, and there's a link directly within the report to go make a claim if they need to.
Well, and you pretty much jumped in with full package, everything, right off the bat. Wally has had it in literally every derivation, because he was there for the evolution and the build of these. So I'd like to get Wally's take on this. whether you're in that 90-day, the Premier with the sewer guard, the full package with the platinum roof leak, or the full package plus next, what your kind of hardest hitting message was, the thing that got you the best response, because not every inspector is going to be Josh McKay or Home Pro Today. You know, some of them are going to do 90-day warranty or 90-day plus sewer guard. So
We've done the complete Mac Daddy package, everything that's offered. I believe that's $100,000 in aggregate coverage. We have done that exclusively now for several years. We also offer every single individual the opportunity for the 18-month warranty, because that's good for them and because that's a revenue stream for us. And here's what I liken it to. If a customer calls a home inspector and says, well, I'd like a home inspection, but don't look at the roof and you don't need to look at the heating and air, just look at these three things. We could talk ad nauseum as home inspectors on why that's foolish for the customer. Yet when it comes to protecting the customer, which is also protecting the home inspection company with the full medley of warranties to protect the full scope of the home inspection that's been performed, we start picking things out of the pie. And then we get frustrated because we've removed coverages. And then lo and behold, there's something that would have been covered, would have made the customer whole, would have made you a hero, and you saved $2 or $3 and didn't do it. So my position over these last few years is I want the warranty coverage that we offer to be at least as complete as the home inspection performance that we're offering. And when they match up, that's the best possible position for the customer. It's the best possible position for your marketing and the best possible position for your net profitability.
let me restate a question just a little bit. Imagine you are an inspector that wasn't there for all of our product launches, wasn't there for all of those mastermind meetings, and to see some of the print marketing that we did on a massive scale to real estate agents, isn't necessarily aware of the million plus impressions we make on real estate agents every single month. You know, doesn't get all that, and isn't necessarily at this point in their career, because they're newer, because they don't have the confidence yet, they haven't built the clientele, or they don't have the marketing message together yet to justify the price that it takes to offer the Mac Daddy everything, because it does have an expense to it. Let's say you're an inspector that does the 90-day plus sewer guard, just as an example, and you're watching this and saying, okay, I'm getting started. I don't feel ready to upgrade to the Mac Daddy package. What would you tell them is the best approach to going out? Because at one point, all we had was 90-day and sewer guard. that was Power User Conference 2 over 7 or 8 years ago. So what's the best way to go out with your message there, particularly, which is now a very common thing, wasn't back then, particularly when you're competing against a home pro in their market that has the full package?
I think the right way to compete with us is to do the things that we do very candidly. I've invited competitors in our marketplace to come to top meetings. I've had them as my guests. It's far easier to have multiple people playing at a high level in a market than thinking you can do it all alone. So by exposing more and more people to the positive messaging and what brings value to our company, I think we're better off. So I don't subscribe to the idea of a new guy saying, well, I'll start out with baby steps and we'll see how it goes later. Because quite frankly, when you start out at baby steps, there's a really good probability you're not going to graduate to the next level because you didn't do what it took to take the step anyway. So you want to be in business, get in business. You want to compete with the big boys, do the things they're doing. It is not that expensive. It's a value add. And very candidly, as a top member, I get large checks from RWS for selling these things. And it doesn't need to be an expense. It's looking at it, how do I cause this to be either, if not a profit center right away, it's how do I cause this to have the minimal expense while delivering the maximum I can to the customer to grow my business.
Well, that's fair. You know, if you do the Mac Daddy, the full package, maybe not the full package plus next, the full package, because you know there is an additional expense there, and most of the hundreds of inspection companies that are on that have been with us for a long time, have developed their 1-year warranty sales operations to where you know their cost basis and their relationship with us is either minimal or it's a profit center. So it's a it's a different game. I would say develop to that. But to your point, if you do the full package now and you get the right email sequence in place, which we build for people right in Next Inspect or in ISN, you're right. It offsets the cost. So really anybody can afford the Mac Daddy. Now, if you don't want to be right there with guys like Wally, leaders in every market offering that level of service to your customers, and you want the 90-day in sewer guard, I want to respect that. So I'm going to answer as well, because the alternative is somebody that has no warranty and just says, yeah, we were there that day and never call us again, and sorry your home's full of poo when your sewer lines collapsed, and those are two of our biggest claims coverages. So if you're in a market playing with the big boys like Wally, you're newer to the market and you're offering the 90-day in sewer guard, you don't have to go out and mention, hey, we don't have that 5-year roof leak. Like always play the positive.
Focus on the positive.
Go to your resources page, go to the sewer guard section, find the 100 brochures and flyers that we've built for you that have a blank side for you to put whatever you want on, and the other side they deliver the message accurately about coverage, etc. And there's got to be like 95 of them in there that Wally's never even seen or used. Okay, so you go in, you find those, and you pummel every real estate office with them, and watch what happens to your business. It soars. And I'm gonna put in one other reason though for Wally's suggestion of just going with the Mac Daddy package. As soon as you do that, you can turn on Mana. Mana is our free email marketing platform. I had an inspector just last week call me and say, why didn't you do this years ago? And I said, I wasn't ready, sir. But he's a guy, he's so frustrated now because he's like, you are just making my phone ring off the hook. And the story of this guy is that he's a great inspector. He does his 2 or 3 a day, 4 days a week, and then he takes 3 days off a week. And he's had a business like that, and he was doing on average over the year 5 to 6 inspections a week, and perfectly happy with that. And then one day he just turns on Mana, because he's always delivered the full package to his clients, not because he wanted to be the biggest or the baddest or the Wally, but because he just wanted to do the right thing for his clients, and he trusts the way we treat them. He turns that on, and he went from like 5 to 6 a week to 20 to 30 inspections a week, changing nothing else. And I said to the guy, we'll call him Bill. It's not his name. His name starts with an L, and he knows who he is. I said, Bill, wait, you're telling me that when you stop being the best kept secret in your area and start telling people what you offer and communicating with them on a regular basis, your phone rings? You're kidding me. And so now he's hiring, and it wasn't a day too soon. I mean, he is getting close to his retirement age. So he's now looking at that and building a business around just Mana, which is nuts, but whatever. He can do that. You should too. Josh, what else we got? Because, thanks for inviting us to this round table of the experience, the largest in their market, the young gun, 4 years in the marketplace, hiring 3 inspectors this year. Holy crap. And this guy, I'll just be a guy.
Well, I'd like to touch real quick on your point on Mana, because one of the pitfalls of offering the warranties and providing them, we talk about all these great things they do. One of the pitfalls is not actually telling anybody you provide them. And it almost seems like some inspectors are scared to. They're like, well, I don't really want to tell them because then it could cause me problems. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But not the case. It's some of the greatest marketing tools that you could possibly have in this business. So the Mana emails do that on an automated basis. You turn it on. And then if you got recall check, you just say, okay, the agent information that comes through recall check, put it in the Mana, and it all just happens for you. If you have salespeople, they can plug them in there, whatever. But on a very easy, not have to mess with it everyday basis, you're out there marketing and telling everybody about these warranties. Yeah, your phone's going to ring. I mean, that's, and the more agents you put in there, and we've got some agents that forward them on to other agents. I mean, the more agents you put them in there, that positive marketing message that we provide this, it's great to have 90-day in sewer guard. I just don't think it's ridiculous not to provide the other stuff. Raise your prices. That's what we did.
Right.
We came into the market, and like a lot of people, we came in at like a low mid price point to siphon some stuff. But I mean, those prices quickly went up, and as we realized the value of what we were providing. But when we started providing warranties, and just upped our base price by the exact amount that the warranties were going to cost us.
I think we're going to confuse people if we don't give them just a little basis of what Mana means.
Met an agent emails. Yeah.
So for us, it was an avoidance of this scenario. Somebody gets an inspection with you, with Josh, with Wally. They move in, they have a problem with their sewer line, which is covered under sewer guard, and they forget all about it. And when they even pick up the phone and they call their agent and say, "Hey, I just moved in and my house is full of poo," and that agent goes, "Oh man, tough day. Sorry. Try to keep your head up." And they treat it like they had received any other experience in the marketplace, an inspection without a warranty without coverage for underground sewer and water lines. Because that's all that individual agent had experienced. So we built that to avoid that and keep agents aware. So when they got the call, they had the solution. And we expected that to work fairly well, increase our claims 3 to 5%. It's done that. But it's also increased the business level for our inspectors. And gosh, the last time I looked at it, there was like 8,000 or 9,000 agents that had utilized an inspection company like yours for the first time after being input into Mana from an automated trigger. So, that's just a first time usage from 9,000 plus agents. You take that 9,000 times, let's call it $500, and then you give it a lifetime value. So, what's an average agent use Home Pro over a period of 5 years? Do you happen to know that math, Wally?
Yeah, over 5 years on average, each person in the system is just under a dozen, to be candid.
All right, so you got 12 times, at $500 each on those 9,000 agents. That's the quick math is 4.5 million times 10 is 45 million. Add 9 million. That's $54 million in revenue generated for our users on the full package from Mana emails. And here's the fascinating thing about that number, Josh. We send out probably 250, 300,000 Mana emails a month for all of our users combined. So it's not huge. It's not like millions. There's only 1.5 million real estate agents anyway. But not only that, but 15%, less than 15% of our users have ever turned it on.
You're sending almost 3,000 emails a week for us via the Mana program.
Yep. And every single one has a big button on it that says, "Order your inspection here."
An inspection. Yeah.
And it's amazing how many inspectors don't do an effective job, and we do an effective job. It has an open rate in the 20s of making sure their message is in front of every agent that's ever used them, every agent that's ever been a listing agent, and making sure that they know why they should use them and that they're in business and here's how to order. You're like,
Yeah.
those three things are so simple. Anyway,
Well, in the MANA system, it's worth mentioning too that the MANA system isn't saying something completely useless in the emails that it sends out. And for those that don't know, the system is sending out emails on a set schedule over a period of time. And the messaging is very custom tailored to be something they actually want to read. Most, I mean, real estate agents get a crap ton of emails that they never read and don't want. And a lot of inspectors may be thinking, well, I don't want to send them another email to bug them. Or they may think that email marketing's dead or whatever. The thing is, the MANA system and the messaging within it was crafted specifically to give them value or give them valuable information that they're actually going to want to read, and they're going to associate that valuable information with your brand. And over time, enough touches with those messages, and they start going, even if they didn't on the first try, they may start thinking, hey, you're in their inbox. If it's a listing agent or whoever, and they haven't used you before, you're in their inbox. Maybe 6 months later, they pull that trigger. And like you said, that one agent could be worth an incredible amount of money.
well, as it's developed, it's done another thing that I didn't expect it to, because we run our own kind of MANA system on the warranty side, and you have these emails going out weekly and then monthly. So we're always in there. Like an agent can go in their email box, search residential warranty services, and they're going to find us. Just like they're going to find you by searching your company name, a bunch of emails and all that information, everything they ever wanted to know, how they can avoid paying an E&O deductible, the information about the CPE certification, what's covered under a sewer guard claim or a 5-year roof leak protection, all of these things, including some social media posts that they can make that have, they're meaningful. They're not just another, here's how to bake cookies kind of newsletter thing. But they'll respond to those emails when they have a problem. And it has solved so many customer service issues for us that where we didn't know, there was somebody having a little bit of difficulty, whatever, it was a miscommunication. The agent goes to their email box, clicks reply, comes straight to the business owner on mine, comes straight to you on yours, and says, hey, by the way, and we can take care of them right then. It's been a blessing in so many ways. And Wally, I hope it's been the same experience on your side, because you get the replies as well.
There's no downside at all that I've discovered.
Excellent. Well,
yeah, and to that point about agents, I mean, some people, I saw a lot of people when the system launched, they were worried that agents were going to complain it was going to become a nuisance. We haven't seen that. I think we've had one agent ever actually be like, yeah, I don't want these. Okay, fine. But we've never really had anybody complain. It's when the information is right, when the messaging is right, you're not going to have that problem.
Part of it's the frequency too, and that, we have a real connection to them and a real business connection. So, the first email out of the gate has something to do with information about our existing relationship and how we're treating their client today. That's huge. That makes it relevant. Then it's about frequency, and I won't get into proprietary stuff here, but there's an initial course of emails, and then it goes into a course of emails that is no more than once per month, because agents are getting pummeled by crazy amounts of spam, and almost everything else in our industry is delivering straight to their spam boxes, whereas ours is getting straight through main email. And even if they're in Microsoft Office 365, I've seen from the responses that we're ending up in their focus, not even the other, because now there's 3 different levels of email box. You have spam, junk, totally blocked, blacklisted, and then other, and then focus, the names you deal with all the time. And we're ending up in the focus side. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So well, now we've touched on that. I think we've beat that up. Josh, last word for you.
What we're trying to do here and having these conversations is kind of the same thing that I referenced that happened with me in my journey, getting to discuss these things with guys like you and the members of TOP and a lot of other people in the industry that have been gracious with their knowledge. We're trying to help people shortcut to success, or maybe get over a hump where maybe they're plateauing. I don't know where to go from there. Maybe they want to hire and they don't know where to go from there. So they're not the guy in the crawl space every day. A lot of this information is incredibly valuable, and I would highly encourage any inspector listening to it to take notes and really heed the advice and the knowledge and the information given in this video, because Wally's sitting on a boat right now. Wally's sitting on a boat right now, and that's not by accident. It's been very successful. Nathan Thornberry has been very successful in the home inspection industry. These people know what they're talking about, and we would all be very wise to take some notes and implement these things into our own businesses.
I feel like somebody's going to say the exact same thing or something like it about Josh McKay in the not too distant future.
We'll see.
And no, like your stuff, we didn't go over it today. And if somebody really wants to see some incredible marketing, if they're going, I don't even have an Instagram, like what do I put out there? They need to go to inspectionsuccess.net/2020 and watch. I don't know which episode of our annual conference it was, but Josh McKay got up and showed off like 50 of his Instagram posts that are getting results, are booking him home inspections. And I didn't even think Instagram, like anyone was there for years. So kudos to you.
Turns out the agents are there.
I've never been able to make it work. I've made it work for some things, just not, real estate referral space stuff. And you've done a wonderful job of it. In fact, we added a bunch of those Instagram ads to the resources page.
The whole section in the recall check and the resources page. There's a section called social media ads, and there's quite a few in there with some great messaging. So it's plug and play, easy stuff.
Great. Well, thank you for contributing those and being willing to share them with other inspectors. Wally, I'll give you the final word, and then I'll cut to a message from our sponsors.
It's just a reminder that time passes very quickly. There are a heck of a lot of home inspectors out there who are my age and older who are wondering, what am I going to do with this thing I created? And I think being involved with other people who have gone through that path before to help you transition out of the field and possibly even transition out of the business, that's a far better conversation than just shutting the phone off one day and seeing your life's work basically valueless. So have the conversation with others to figure out how to monetize that business that you're sitting on.
All right, so I'm going to do something weird because this is like, I don't know, it's going to be an hour and 20-minute recording, maybe by the time we cut it down. And I feel like there's a lot of inspectors that, they like to close their eyes. They like to put on those blinders. They like to go bury their head in the sand or right up their butt. And this is a message to you, gentlemen. Or it's a message to other people that made it this far, that wanted to hear this stuff, wanted to take their business to the next level and aren't stuck in that. It's now 1 hour and 25 minutes through. And I'm making this offer to you guys. Go to my personal profile where I'm going to post this YouTube, and you take the YouTube link, or you just share right there from Facebook. If you share right there from Facebook, then I'm going to get you on a list of people that shared it. And I'm going to draw at, let's see, at this exact time on February 1st for a $500 cash winner. Plus, I will make a donation to Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $500 in their honor. I'm still going to take the write-off, like I'm making the donation, but it's going to have your name in the memo. Okay. So there you go. This will be good for Habitat for Humanity, good for charities, and hopefully gets a few ears of home inspectors that are trying to figure it out and take their business to the level of a Josh McKay or a Wally Conway. And I hope you all do it. Much success to all of you in 2021. That's it for us. I got to go join Wally on his boat later.